If not social media, then what? How else can I organically market my business in a simple way without spending a lot of time or money? Both things I don't want to do right now. Well, today we're going to talk about a little thing called Pinterest. Now, on one hand, you could consider this a social media outlet, and it is social media esque. But I'd argue that it doesn't function in the same way as a platform that wants you engaging, posting, commenting, liking all hours of the day. It's actually more of a search engine, and it works really well for certain niches to get new eyes on their businesses. For that reason, we're going to dive into how to establish a profile that attracts your ideal audience and how to create a simple pinning workflow so that you can focus your attention on creating. I've worked through a VIP month with Heather for a client. I've used her systems in my own business as well, and she absolutely knows what she's talking about. And I am thrilled to introduce Heather as a speaker today. Heather is a Pinterest marketer and has been managing client accounts for more than 8 years. She jokes that she's used the platform so long, she remembers when there wasn't much to see and you actually found the end of the feed. Before she got into Pinterest marketing, she was in accounting. Heather facilitates a membership where she helps more than 250 content creators, coaches, and service providers with their marketing strategies. Her team is also serving upward of 25 clients at any one given time. In her spare time, she enjoys a myriad of hobbies, including plants, rock tumbling, and caring for her hummingbirds. She's been featured on multiple podcasts sharing her expertise, and I'm so glad we are able to snag her to share with us today. So let's get started. Hey friend, welcome to Pursuing Goals God's Way. Have you thought about finally starting that business now that your kids are older? Do you ever stay awake wondering how to mesh your passions into purposeful work? Do you have big, ambitious goals but feel overwhelmed or even unqualified to pursue them? Hey, I'm Gabe. Not too long ago, I longed for the confidence to start an online business. I just wanted to make a difference outside my home bubble using my gifts. But I kept telling myself that I wasn't good enough, I didn't know enough, and I didn't have enough time. Until I realized something huge. My kids need me to be their example, and they need to see me win. And yours do too. In this podcast, you will learn how to clarify your goals, plan with purpose, and ditch your distractions. If you're ready to make an impact and an income, all for the glory of God, then you're in the right place. As an avid runner, I believe life is one massive marathon. It's up to you to run your own race and to finish it well. So lace up those running shoes, pop in your earbuds, and let's do this thing. Hey, Heather, so glad that you are here hanging out with us today. I'm excited to dive into all things Pinterest.
Hi, Gabe. Thank you for inviting me. And I, of course, can talk all things Pinterest all day.
So you are one I have learned Pinterest from. I've done some work with you in the past. I've used your systems. I know they work. And so that's one of the reasons I wanted to talk with you right now. But I did want to start just hearing a little bit about your journey into entrepreneurship, what sold you on Pinterest as a marketing wheelhouse.
So I started using Pinterest when it first was open for beta in the spring of 2010. So I joined in the summer of 2010 when my daughter was born. I was a new wife, a new mom, and I had no idea because I was like 20 how to do anything in my life. And I needed to learn how to cook. I just on a budget, preferably, because I didn't have a lot of money. So I put it on Facebook, those really weird third person Facebook status updates that you used to do. And my sister-in-law was like, "Hey, I have a platform I think you should try. It's called Pinterest." And I just got access to it. So she texted me the sign up link where you could get on the wait list. I got on the wait list and I started using it. Like, long story short, I used it for 6 years every single day as my main search engine. So I went there for everything from, baby activities at home, because remember, my daughter was a newborn when I joined. So baby activities, recipes, home decor ideas, DIYing crafts, all sorts of stuff. That's how I learned about like the Pioneer Woman when she was first getting started, and many other really big bloggers at the time that are huge now. It was the first place that I went when I was like, I need to start like a business or like a side hustle, or like side hustle wasn't really a term in 2016. Not yet, but when I wanted to start working at home, I went to Pinterest and I searched how to work from home. And there was this entire side of Pinterest that I had no idea existed. prior to that moment because of the way the algorithm works, the way the platform works. It serves you with things that you've interacted with, searched with, engaged with. So since I'd never done anything in that realm of search on the platform, it had never served that to me. And I was just delightfully surprised. And it took me, I started that process in 2015. It took me to the about mid 2016 to actually have the baby that we got pregnant with at the time, and then decide that I wanted to come back to it. And here we are, oh, 14 years into this platform, and I can say I'm still in love today as I was then.
I love it. And it's probably changed quite a bit since you got started. What are some things that you've noticed
Mhm.
along the way that might be changes or trends or things that are actually the same as they were? That would be interesting to know.
Things that are the same as they were, the original search platform as we know it right now with Pinterest was introduced in 2011, about a year into the platform being online. The founders actually realized people were searching for stuff. They'd introduced a search bar and categories, but their main functionality was in those categories. Like you would go and you'd select a category and you'd hit go, or you could search. Like the search bar wasn't as pronounced as it is today. So those kind of have flipped. You can't really search in categories now. Everything is in the 24 categories. So that's definitely shifted and morphed a little bit. But those bubbles that were there, that have always been there, that left and came back, are still there. And that's really interesting. The autofill has really morphed over the years as well. So it's just like Google. If you go to Google and you search like how to care for my pilea, which is what's behind me. If you type like how to care for, there's going to be all these like autofill suggestions. So that has morphed over the years and really grown. But things that have like come and gone are a lot of new features that the platform founders and developers realized people weren't really using. So a lot of people listening might in the last few years have heard about idea pins. When Pinterest was trying to be TikTok, they introduced idea pins. Those have come and gone, but standard image pins and video pins are still around. Other things that have come and gone or new things. So, another new thing is Pinterest trends. Those were introduced right around the time they introduced the advertising. Advertising was not on the platform originally. You couldn't really monetize without like affiliate links or whatever on your blog originally, but you can now. So, yeah, some other things that have kind of gone by the wayside are types of ad campaigns, not really important for today's conversation. And like carousel pins, those were a thing apparently. But foundationally, the platform is still like as it was then, which is the basis of everything I teach, actually.
Yeah, I love that. And actually, I love that you mentioned that it does have kind of the bones of where it started and that it did try to be like the other social media platforms. And that's one thing I didn't like about Pinterest when they were doing that. I don't want to be on TikTok. I don't want to do the videos. I don't want the carousels. Like, I just want to have the pure, let's put a video or a pin up and have a description and make it a search engine. That's what I want for it. I don't want to engage, in that platform. And so I think that's interesting that they tried. It didn't work. They went back to their roots in a way. And I know we're talking about social media a little bit today, too. I'd be interested to hear kind of what your business relationship is with social media. And because I guess Pinterest could be considered social media, but like we talked about, it's more of a search engine than anything.
Mhm.
So, kind of where that falls into play with social media.
My main argument for Pinterest being a search engine is that people do primarily search on this platform more than anything else. Some of the markers of being a social media platform is there with Pinterest. Like there is an inbox where you can message people. I don't do that on there. And if people do message me, I've never seen them. You can obviously follow people. So that's like picturesque of a social media platform. But the bones of Pinterest really is, like you said, the foundational aspects are that search feature, that capability. And that's what most people behave in. Now, there is a multiple, and we can get into this maybe a little later. There's multitudes of algorithms on Pinterest, and part of the algorithm is similar to a social media platform with engagement. But if you do your job really, really well with the search side of things, especially if you don't need it to be your main traffic source, but you want to show up there when people search for you, it's really great for that as well. Now, my relationship with social media is I use it for a lot of personal use. I don't use it for a lot of business, and I haven't because I prioritized back in 2019 when I was full time on the road. I was prioritizing Facebook groups as my and Facebook in general as my social media platform to find like clients and stuff. And I learned really quickly then when I was only offering Pinterest services that I could not rely on social media and the algorithms and how they shift so rapidly, and we have no control over it. I lost half my clients in 1 week. We were in a city park in Wisconsin, and I suddenly had half the income and no way to know if I was going to make it back up. And in fact, I didn't until 2021. I didn't make up that income again until like 2 years later. And I fault my decision to just stick to social media platforms for that. So in 2019, end of 19, beginning of 20, I started on YouTube. I started heavily using Pinterest again, and I started my website SEO strategy very seriously. So I rely personally in my business on three platforms for search, and that is where the majority of everything comes from now. And because I have really listened to my audience and I've created content that's really valuable and I don't like to gatekeep, that has paid off in spades over the
Mm,
years. So I don't need to use Instagram. I don't know when a client comes from Instagram. It's on my honeybook forms, but I don't ever see any of those come through. It's
yeah.
YouTube and Google. Those are my top two referral sources for clients and for students in my membership.
That's so interesting. And I love it because that's kind of what we're talking about is having these other sources. So you're not
Mhm.
relying on social and not feeling like you're spread too thin trying to be in all the places. You
Yeah.
picked your few things. For me, it is podcasting and my website. Mainly,
Mhm.
I have dove into Pinterest a little bit as well. And I don't want to use other things because I know that's what's working for me. So
Yeah.
I think that's really great. And then you can be really good at those things and not have to be okay at all the things.
I'm not a very aesthetically pleasing person. Like, I can barely comb my hair or wear anything other than a flannel unless it's like 100 degrees outside. So, I am not going to sing and dance on platforms in order to appease them and find, I'm not going to sit and scroll for hours to find trending audio, to do reels. It's just not where I want to spend my time. I do spend my time on those platforms and I spend way too much time on those platforms for entertainment. But I myself am not an entertainer, I'm an educator. And I see myself in that way. And if I want to educate people and be there when they're searching for me, I need to use search platforms. When you are inside of Instagram, when you're inside of TikTok, even though that platform is trying to be a search engine, or like a Snapchat, do people use that? I have no idea. LinkedIn, no clue. You're very much in an ecosystem that is you're locked in and it's really hard to get found or find keywords. If you lose a post because the platform just refreshed itself, good luck finding it again.
So true. That is really good to know too, and just to think about as we're building our businesses and creating content and wanting content that actually sticks and gets found. So let's talk about how we can do that with Pinterest. When it comes
Mhm.
to audience building, how do people find us on Pinterest? How can we optimize that?
You're going to start with a profile that is optimized for search. So the what I teach in the Pinterest roadmap in my membership community, I even teach this. I just taught this on YouTube actually recently, like fully gate free. You're going to start with the Pinterest profile that is optimized for search. So what you're going to do is think about who your ideal client is, and you're going to think about the products you sell, the questions you get asked the most often, and the services that you sell. So if you don't sell services, knock that one off. And then I also like to add a fourth pillar here of like things to brainstorm before we go to Pinterest. And that is your most recent content you've created. So if you can brain dump on a sheet those four questions, topics, and then you're going to take that to Pinterest the same way you would take it to Google, and you're going to do some searching. So if you sell candles, for example, and they are soy whatever candles, you're going to go and you're going to search for things that people would be searching for to find this candle. So you're going to then create, based on those four things that you wrote down, so content, services, products, and most frequently asked questions, you're going to start to create a list of keywords that people can then use to find you. And you're going to start by using those keywords to create your boards. Now, most people get hung up on this. I just want you to start with what your pillars are. So, my pillars, for example, are, and I live by examples, so I like giving examples, is Pinterest organic marketing, paid Pinterest marketing, so advertising, graphic design, and automation. So those four things are going to be my overarching pillars that I write down in that content I've recently created or like questions people ask. You can even fill out those four things with those pillars in mind. And then you can take those pillars and you can say, okay, I need a board for organic Pinterest marketing. I need a board for social media marketing. So within that organic, social media, Pinterest marketing, organically, maybe Pinterest for e-commerce, Pinterest for digital content creators. So that's four boards right there for one pillar. And then you're going to create all of those boards. You can start with something as simple as like 5 to 10 boards. Don't go overboard in the beginning because you can always add more. And then once you have the board created, you're going to write a description. And I know everyone does not like to talk about descriptions or writing them, and they always get hung up on it, but I like to do Mad Libs. You're going to take your 4 to 5 keywords that you're going to include in your description and just drop them in a document or in the description box and just write sentences for each of the 4 to 5.
Mhm.
Save that for your board description, and then you're going to move on to your profile optimization. So your boards are part of your profile, but we're talking display name and bio now. So when you go on Pinterest, right up at the top on someone's profile is a big banner image. We'll talk about that in a minute. Right underneath it is this big bold name. That's your display name. You can include a main keyword that you want to rank for in your display name. So for me, I can't include the word Pinterest because Pinterest is Pinterest. I'm not Pinterest, they're Pinterest. So I have something on there right now like organic marketing strategy or something along those lines. You guys can go and look at my profile if you want a good example of what this should look like. Or Gabe's, go look at hers as well. And then underneath that is the bio. And I like to treat my bio the same way that I treat like an Instagram bio, but more beefed up. You get a lot more terms, about 500 characters right now. And I like to use all 500, max it out. So you want to tell people how you help them, who you are, and in what way you help them, kind of in that order. You don't want to make it about yourself. You want to make it about them in the like the first 140 characters, because you don't want them to have to open them more to see all of it about how you help them. You don't want to stick that at the end. Don't put links, don't put hashtags in there. You don't need any of that because it's not clickable anyways. And that's your bio. And then that banner I mentioned, you want to treat this like a billboard for your business. You want to put something there that's not just a pretty image and you don't want to leave it blank. So if you do go look at my profile, you're going to see a really good example of what a banner looks like. And you want to be really strategic with what you put there because if they don't click on your link in bio, but they do see an offer in your banner that they do want to check out, they can click on that link in bio and find it, or they can just type that in. So I have mine as my membership, so they can quickly go to pinprofitacademy.com in another window. And the majority of my users on Pinterest are desktop, so I can see that in Audience Insights on the platform. It tells you they can go to that from the banner. So you want to maximize that space. Use it to promote a freebie or your current group program that you're promoting or whatever it is. And that's like the majority of your profile. Now, everyone's also going to tell you something about rich pins. Ignore it for now. Okay. Most platforms are automatic with rich pins. If you have questions on that, feel free to reach out. And then the last little bit is making sure that your domain is claimed because Pinterest likes claimed domains. They like to serve content from trusted sources. They know that you're trusted when you claim your domain. They know you're not a bot because bots can't claim domains. They can't physically stick a little piece of code in the header of their websites. So that's the last little bit. Back to you, Gabe.
Awesome. I love it. There's so much information all wrapped up in just a few minutes. And so, I think just going to your profile. So if you go to Heather's profile, you will see what she's talking about. Mine is mostly optimized as well. So you can check that out. But I would definitely use hers as your guide. We'll link it in the speaker notes for sure. I'd love to talk a little bit about what type of content does well on Pinterest. Are there certain niches that do better than others? Or are there certain ones that are like, it's probably not going to work for you?
There are a lot of different niches on Pinterest. In fact, a lot of service providers can find even audiences on there. I mean, that's what I do. I think it depends on what your overall strategy is for the platform. So my strategy for the platform is not to land high ticket clients, but I do sell Pinterest marketing content on there. All of my courses and digital products and stuff can be found there. It's a pretty small audience because by the time you know about Pinterest for marketing, you have to already have some sort of business that you want to promote and know that Pinterest is a probable solution for you. So I'm pretty far down in the funnel as far as that goes, but I still get a decent amount of income every single month from Pinterest. So, categories that do really well, there's 24 of them. Obviously, the big heavy hitters like food, weddings, home decor, interior design. I was just talking to one of my mentees recently, and I was mentioning to her that interior designers use Pinterest to do mood boards and stuff for their clients. But also, if those designers have blogs of their own where they're showcasing their projects and stuff, that's a really great way to monetize your interior design firm without having to land more clients. You're already doing all of this work for them. Why not put some sort of affiliate link or get some branded partnerships in there? Weddings, I think I mentioned that one. Fashion, women's and men's, children's activities, parenting, motherhood, finances. Oh goodness, the list could go on. There is a category on there for design. And this is where a lot of people that might be listening that are in like web design or template design, doing that kind of thing for service providers or businesses could also fit in. I recently was on a strategy call with a design firm in the UK. They want to do, they wanted to do high ticket branding packages on Pinterest. And when I let them know, like, the average buy cycle on Pinterest, and then we dove into their analytics and we realized that the majority of their audience is actually DIY and illustration. We're like, oh, well, we could definitely offer a product on that. So we're kind of like moving them away from that. That's on there. But I mean, how likely is someone going to find you and want to spend $25,000 immediately with you? Like, that's a big ask. So people are there for brand design and stuff like that, but I see a lot more beginners on Pinterest for that topic.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I could go on.
I love it. How about for those who teach how to do business or online business or courses or different things like that? Do you see that doing well on Pinterest?
I do, and that's how I got started in my business because like workfromhomemom.com, I think is her that's how I found originally the people in this kind of niche, this world, was by looking for those work at home topics. Now there's a lot of spam on Pinterest in this space. So you do want to stand out. You don't have to use big income claims on Pinterest to stand out either, but that is a space that is very well oiled on the platform. So anything from like marketing courses to business coaching or kind of anything in between. Yes. And you should promote your courses and your lead magnets and all of that stuff on there.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, and that kind of runs into my next question for you. And it's, can you promote products on Pinterest, whether they're digital products or
Mhm.
coaching or services? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, so you are going to do the same thing that you would do for blog posts. So a lot of people actually have this weird misconception that Pinterest is just for like weddings and food. And it's really not for anything else. But we have over like 500 and some odd million active users. And when we say we have, we're not like Facebook where we're like, we have 2 billion users. How many of those are actually active every single month? So Pinterest is constantly culling the platform. So we have over 500 million active users, which doesn't sound like a ton, but it's enough for most people to be successful in business. So, what I want you to do is throw the thought that it's only for Pinterest or food out the window. And if you are looking for your search terms on Pinterest and you are A, finding your competitors, or B, finding your audience pinning your stuff or stuff similar to yours to the platform, then that's a really good indicator that your people are there. So, even for courses, even for digital products, you're going to create Pinterest pins that lead back to those URLs. So if you have products in a store, so I have a Shopify storefront for my digital products, and I also have an Etsy storefront for them. Those are two different links for every single product. I think I have like 50 active products. So it's 100 links that I can make pins for to promote paid products. Now I also have a bunch of lead magnets that I like to promote. So every week when I sit down and create a pin plan, I actually do it monthly, but if you want to do it weekly, you can. I like to at least include one freebie, a few paid products, and a handful of either blog posts or YouTube videos. So each product, each service in the business can get pins to them. Now, I don't promote my services on Pinterest because I don't need to. Other people might want to, and you can definitely make pins for your service pages. I had a wedding design, like show it web developer client last fall. We did a 3 month setup, kind of like what we did for one of your clients, a VIP month situation. And I promoted the heck out of all of her portfolio pages and her work with me pages for Shopify and for Squarespace and for Show It. Like we just made a Pinterest strategy around creating a client attrition. Like, I don't think that's the right word. I think that means removal. Um, a client like pathway from Pinterest to her website. So yeah, you just want to make pins. What I say is if you have web pages on your website, guest podcasts that you've been on. So if I ever come on your podcast, I'm promoting it on Pinterest.
Mhm.
If I write a guest blog post, anything like that, if there's something you want to promote in your business, minus the legal pages, let's make pins for it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I love the idea of using your resource pages or your actual product pages and all the things, because then you're actually optimizing what you can do and what can be found on Pinterest. So, those are some really great tips. Now, I want to dive into how much time it's going to take, but I do want to touch a little bit on video because I know we talked about the idea pins kind of came and went, carousels, which weren't videos, they were just like scrolling pictures, came and went, but there are video pins. Is it important to use them, or is it okay to just use photos?
You can just use photos. So when I mentioned earlier, there was an aspect of the platform that is social media in nature, that engagement part of the platform. Video pins are where you can get a lot of engagement quickly. And the way the algorithm works is that when people engage with that content, then they start being served more of your content. So, kind of this thought process or the Pinterest strategy that I always have people create when they're starting out is to think about what image pins they can make for everything. We always have image pins because those are going to end up becoming legacy pins. Over time, years from now, those pins are going to be what continues to drive traffic. That's what I mean by legacy. But then those video pins and infographic pins, which a lot of people never think about, or even animating your image pins to become a video kind of moving pin in nature. Those pins can generate those three, so animated video and infographic, can really boost engagement and saves. So, aside from outbound clicks, the one thing that you want a lot of on Pinterest are saves, because saves tell Pinterest that your content is important to that user. Therefore, they should see more of it, even if they never follow you. That's one great thing about Pinterest is people don't need to follow you to see your content consistently. So once they engage with you, so let's say you make a video and you put it on Pinterest, they're going to start to see more of your content, like trickles of it in their related sections and on their home feed. The more they engage with that, then Pinterest like pours gasoline on the fire, and the more they see, the more they see. So it is really good to use video if you can. The one thing that I tell my students in the membership is to start with what you already have. We don't need to recreate the wheel. So if you created an Instagram reel, for example, on a smoothie that you made, let's say you're like a health coach and you are teaching your clients how to create really good, yummy smoothies for lunch, like a replacement meal, which is very popular on Pinterest, by the way. And you're showing them in the reel the ingredients and how to make that smoothie. That's actually going to be really good for Pinterest because there's recipes on Pinterest. So then you can take that reel and you can, if you put trending audio on it on Instagram, you're going to want to remove that trending audio because that audio is only copyrighted for Instagram. So you're going to want to take that audio off and then put it on Pinterest, either with audio from their music app, which you can do in the app on your mobile phone. You can't do it from desktop just yet, or you want to get copyright free music from some place like Envato Market or wherever. Then you're going to publish that to your board about smoothies. So maybe you have a board called Smoothie Recipes or Meal Replacement Smoothies, whatever the thing is that your people are searching for. You're going to put that video there and you're going to watch it probably more than likely grow faster than your image pins, especially in the beginning.
Okay, that makes sense. So, not necessary, but helpful.
That was a really long winded answer to say that they are very helpful, especially in the beginning to build your audience.
It's all good. I think that's great. It's a great explanation. And I think diving into this has been really important. Now, kind of as we are wrapping up, I'd love to talk about the time that it can take because I know creators are hesitant to start something new because they think they might spend hours and hours there. I know I was there when I was thinking about using Pinterest. Can you tell us a little bit about how much time you need to invest? And maybe this will go kind of a little bit into your simple pin system.
Yeah. So average time frame every single week for a brand new baby pinner is probably going to be close to 2 hours, especially if you're real nitpicky. So if you don't want to spend a ton of time on the platform, but you still want to see really good results, then you want to really start with like maybe the first few weeks you're just working on your profile for a couple of hours a week to get it to where you want it to be, get your boards created, your profile banner and branding and all of that there. Then the kind of like maybe the first month that you're on there, the second 2 weeks of the platform, you're starting to create images. Now, what I would say if you don't want to spend a lot of time on the platform every single week, and I promise I'll get to a solid answer, I promise, is to work ahead. So you're not creating pins this week for this week. You're creating pins this week for 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, a month from now. That's how you can get really ahead on the platform. That way, if you do run up against a week where you don't have a ton of time, or God forbid your kids get sick and you have to take them to the urgent care and things just go sideways, then you have time. So I would say in the very beginning as a baby pinner, you need to set aside, upwards of 2 hours if you're not nitpicky. Don't nitpick all of the designs on all the images and the Canva functionality. Just don't do it. Just make the pins and put them on there. Let's worry about keywords first. Now, one of the timelines that people always ask about, and you didn't ask about, but I'm going to talk about it, is how much time do we need to invest in this platform long term to see
Mm.
results? The average is 9 to 12 months because it is a search engine. Some people can take off faster, some people will take off slower. But if you are consistently doing what I like to call parking your content on the platform and you're not worried about short term gains and you're not checking those analytics and obsessing over them the first few weeks that you're pinning, you're going to set yourself up not only in your mindset, but in your longevity and sustainability better. So, 9 to 12 months, consistently pinning, consistently meaning you're putting something out daily, if not like every other day in that timeline. You can batch all of this, and this is where kind of the like my system comes in. So I create and teach on a workflow where you create a pin plan for the month. So you can start as small as like creating, having 5 topics that you're going to pin on for the month. And those 5 URLs you're going to make a batch of pins for and schedule them out. You don't have to have 30. I often do say choose 30. A lot of people don't have 30 different URLs to promote. They're not like me and crazy and have like 4 websites to promote. But if you do have a lot of content, then you can diversify your pin plans and you just start really simple. If you start with 30 URLs, for example, for the month, that's 30 images that you can create for the month, 30 titles and 30 descriptions. And then next month, you'll do the same thing and you'll do the same thing. And if you do diversify from the beginning, then you're spreading your net a lot wider.
Yeah, that makes sense. I love that you addressed how long does it take to actually see results because I think that's important that we don't just run with it for a few weeks and then stop because we don't see it working. It's the
Mhm.
same thing in like the blogging world. You don't really see the SEO results for 6 to 9 months down the road. So you really need to be willing to engage with that certain platform for that long to be able to gauge if it's working for you or not. So I'm really glad you brought that up. Now, you have a free guide for everybody today. It's called the Pinterest Strategy Guide. Can you tell us what's inside?
Yeah, I actually updated it recently as well. So, what's inside is a list of resources of free YouTube videos that you can watch to learn about the things I talk about in the guide. And then basically a breakdown of like long term success on Pinterest, what this platform is, how to use it. There is a couple of example workflows that you can follow, kind of similar to what I just talked about the, choosing your pins and making pins. I update this every single year. And this year's update, I actually added a new worksheet that you can follow. So, kind of at the beginning of this conversation, when I said, like, these 4 things, let's write these down and brainstorm those, that's in this worksheet that you're going to get as well. So, there's the guide and there's a worksheet, and it basically explains Pinterest. There's a roadmap. I'm walking you through like scheduling your pins. I tell you in there you can just use the free Pinterest scheduler. You don't need to use money in the beginning to purchase a scheduler to put your pins on Pinterest, those sorts of things. So I'm going to walk you through what a full strategy looks like. And then you get the worksheet, which actually goes with the YouTube video on my YouTube channel to create Pinterest strategy. So you can also watch that. And you'll kind of have the beginnings of a Pinterest strategy without ever having done anything else, spending any money.
I love it. And I know I got the guide in the beginning and then I did purchase the simple pin system that you have and it was very helpful for me in the beginning just to have that guide. It was like a mini coach helping me figure out my workflows and I'm all about workflows and systems to make things as automated as possible or at least flowing as good as possible.
So yeah, 2 free weeks. Come join us. 2 weeks is enough time to at least go through the organic course if you do want to take this thing seriously. So the organic course is actually built on the strategy guide and it just goes in depth on everything. And then the Pinterest system is also in there that Gabe had mentioned. So pretty much all the digital products I sell in my business are in the membership. And then I just break those out and sell them individually in other places. So come
Mm.
join us.
I love it. Yes. If you don't have the all access pass, make sure to grab it so you can join the membership, see what it's all about. Heather, this has been such an incredible conversation. I very much appreciate you coming today, talking about all things Pinterest and helping us see how we can use it as more of a search engine and more organic marketing if we don't want to rely on regular social media.
Thanks, Gabe. I really appreciated your invite to this session today and chatting with you. Thank you again.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I had a great time and I hope you did too. Before we go, though, make sure you follow the podcast on your favorite listening platform if you haven't already. If you resonate with this episode, please consider leaving a review on iTunes or share it with a friend, as this helps grow the podcast. Also, if you're not a part of Simplicity and Motherhood, consider joining us. It's a free online community built to provide support and encouragement so you can create balance and live intentionally as you go after your biggest goals, God's way. Head on over to redhotmindset.com for more resources and to find the link to join the community. In all things I pray, you just run your race. I believe in you.